You gotta educate to innovate.
So, funny story. I actually forgot I was supposed to be filming a video today, so I took off all my makeup. I didn't wash my hair, I just washed my hair. That's why it looks like a bird's nest, and I'm sorry for that. But this video is gonna be natural beauty advocation. If you did see my last video, then you would know that I have depression, and that was actually a poem about depression. Quick backstory on that. I actually wrote that poem about 4 months ago. It's the first time I actually talked about my depression very openly. A lot of people who knew me didn't know that I had depression, but I've been diagnosed with depression, chronic depression, since I was about 14 years old. I knew that I had depression before that, but it was made official 5 years ago. And it's not the easiest thing to deal with, because my depression came, because a lot of the times you have depression and something else. My depression came along with anxiety, and that was the reason that I even had trouble sometimes talking to people, trouble sort of voicing out my opinions and whatnot. There are times I would just get very nervous and I wouldn't know why, and I'd get upset. And I saw a therapist for about a year, and I realized it wasn't helping. I wasn't really very comfortable with her, so I saw another therapist for another year. But I wasn't comfortable with him either, and it was just making my depression much worse than it was better. I just wish I had someone back when I was 16, 17 to tell me it's okay that you have this. It's okay that you feel this way. It's okay for you to just curl up in a ball sometimes and cry. But I didn't. My friends were absolutely incredible. They were absolutely caring and understanding, and they helped me so much through this period in time. I'm sorry guys, this is really difficult for me to talk about because I haven't really, except my close friends, no one really knows the extent to which this affects me. It's not an easy thing to talk about, so I would constantly refer to depression as a metaphor in my poetry. So nobody actually understood what was happening. I didn't even understand what was happening. I didn't want to be medicated, that was for sure. I didn't want my emotions to be manipulated by a drug. What I call my depression days are my down days. So when I know I'm having a down day, I'll just tell people, I'm not feeling too good today, and I would get off social media for a while. I would be by myself. I wouldn't be surrounded by people, just so I can figure it out and take a breather and time for myself. And I found this to be more helpful. With time, I realized that I wasn't weird for having depression. I wasn't different in a bad way for having depression. A lot of people are diagnosed with depression. It's just because the people that I was growing up with, because school is a place that you spend a majority of your time in, they just didn't know what depression was because they had never been exposed to it. And then one of my bestest guy friends that I've known for ages also discovered that he had depression. And that for me, and this was when I was about 18, and that for me was the third turning point, because I was now on the outside looking in, like, what if he really does kill himself because of this? What am I gonna do? What are his parents gonna do? What is the world gonna do without him? And it's so scary to think about being someone who has been so close to taking her own life. You're so convinced in that moment that you will not be missed. Up until today, I haven't cut. Fun fact, I haven't cut for 2 years now, but to this day I constantly think about, what if I was to die? It wouldn't really make much of a difference or an impact. I think it would lessen the burden, if anything. And people would constantly tell me that this is not the case, this is not the answer. But until I didn't realize it for myself, none of that mattered. And if you're someone who knows another person, a loved one, who's dealing with depression, that is the ultimate thing you have to realize, that they need to realize this for themselves. You cannot shun them. You cannot swear at them, shout at them, beat them down in order to make them understand this. All you can do is love them. Love them until you have absolutely no love to give, and be patient with them, because that's what they want, because they're as confused as you are. We don't understand what's happening with ourselves. Why I focused a lot on depression for this video is because depression, anxiety, and also bulimia are the only sort of mental illnesses that I am sort of aware of. Aware of meaning I'm able to talk about them because I've experienced them. My anxiety and my bulimia have stemmed from my depression because of being bullied, because of being in these uncomfortable situations. They've been my way of dealing with depression, and although my depression is somewhat controlled now, and so is my anxiety a lot more than before, my bulimia is something that I've still not been able to get rid of, and it's upsetting because I feel like it's worse to deal with than depression is for me. Depression is something for me that I was able to control, but my bulimia is so out of my hands sometimes that it scares me as well, and I wish I could find a way to overcome it. Mental illness is just a Rubik's Cube, and I hope we're able to be tolerant, if not understanding towards it, and we're able to realize that people who suffer from it are at the end of the day human beings, just like people who have no mental illness or no harmful mental illness, or people who have overcome it. And we just need to raise more awareness in it, especially in countries like Kenya where it's not very talked about. It's a very big taboo. It's just that we need to start realizing and accepting that this is something that exists, and this is something that's dangerous, and this is something that has the capacity to kill someone.